Money is the root of all evil, especially when you throw in corrupt bankers manipulating markets, power-hungry corporations, a government desperately trying to get themselves out of debt by replacing it with more debt, or an even scarier reality that it's all intentional as we face a global reset with power shifts and geopolitical events orchestrated so precisely like an elegant game of chess played by a grandmaster as the other side is still learning to play checkers. The scariest part is not what we know, it's what we don't know. Imagine knowing the entire truth of what's really happening behind those invisible closed doors and those whispered secrets between the select few. See, that's a rabbit hole so deep that if you jump in, you would literally, metaphorically, and ironically end up in China. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like silver and you like news without a filtered censor, sometimes it's controversial, but you don't let that biased opinion affect you whatsoever, then you've come to the right place. Because I post daily videos. I talk about the stuff mainstream media does not want you to know. I will dive into stories and expose information that a lot of people don't want you to know. And the article we are about to dive into is no different. This is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about the Silver Institute, which I call the Holy Grail of information. I probably shouldn't name them that because news is starting to come out that they might not be as mighty and as genuine as they portray. I've always followed their numbers, but there's something wrong with their numbers. And this is beyond just this article. This is stuff that has been coming out over the past couple of months, especially as they had to just randomly revise their numbers because they forgot to slip in a couple of 100 million ounces somewhere less. But not only that crazy situation, let me give some context first. So when I say the Holy Grails, because when they post their numbers, every site, every source, every news outlet goes off their numbers. If they say demand was 1.21 billion ounces this year and supply was 850 million ounces, that's our data. What if I told you that that data was not accurate? It might purposely be not accurate. You could say, well, it's hard to tell with recycling and this and that, but no, it's much deeper. It's much deeper than that. Why? We know about industry. We know about silver being the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, light sensitivity. Bear with me, guys. We'll break into this article, but this is important to give some pre-context to. Silver is used in everything, not just EVs though, and not just solar panels, and not just dental alloys and electronics, and it's not just used for mirrors and photography, but there's a sector, a massive sector that they don't include in demand, which is military. It takes 500 ounces of silver to fill one Tomahawk missile, and when that monster box of silver gets dropped, it's obliterated. It's never recycled or recovered. So that's just a little glimpse into how messy this situation could be. Silver is used in satellites, it's used in drones, all of that, even aerospace. None of that demand is included in the annual report. So we're saying 1.21 billion ounces, possibly 1.4 billion next year, breaking more records, but it's probably a lot higher. And the lack of silver, this massive silver shortage, record-breaking supply deficits, is probably even more drastic and dramatic than we even could possibly fathom. That's just a little introduction into that whole situation. But now, news broke out today, January 4th. You guys know I got to give you guys the newest, latest information, also why you should subscribe, because this is interesting. News keeps getting worse for the Silver Institute, and they say keeps getting worse because of the situation that I just mentioned earlier. So he made a point to say in their campaign, which was Eternal Light, Silver Ignites the Future, which literally does. He said he made it a point to say every industry, windows, doors, brick sliding, roof, lawyers, automotive, dentists, healthcare, pharmaceutical, education, insurance, has some kind of campaign to do with the following 5 things. Boost brands, and silver holds value. PR helps build trust and shape positive public perception, making your brand more likable and memorable. With silver, less than 1% of the general public is buying silver. Less than 1%. That's why, like, Wall Street Silver says we are the 0.999%. It's genius. In any other industry, that shockingly minuscule number, less than 1%, would light a fire. There would be a shakeup in the trade association for delivering such dismal sales volume. I need help considering an industry where customer adoption numbers are as miserable as ours in the silver industry. And this number, less than 1%, purchase silver would indicate an emergency situation, and they would address this urgently. This is their job. They have yet to address this, proving they don't want people to discover silver. And why would they not want people to discover silver? There's several reasons. I mean, think of, okay, for example, and I'll say Elon Musk because he is the perfect mascot for this since he owns Tesla and SpaceX and Solar City. I don't know if he still works Solar City, but regardless, everything he does, he needs boatloads of silver. And that's why I think he purchased this silver mine, or he's going to. I don't know if he did yet, but instead of trying to find a source and pay premiums and all that, he just said, I'm going to buy a silver mine, which is genius. I mean, that he needed to do that. But imagine that on a bigger scale. Do you think someone like Elon that doesn't own a silver mine wants the price of silver to go up? Think of the cost of production for a Tesla if silver hits $100. It would triple, quadruple in value right there, just from silver alone. Not only that, though, it's much deeper than that. We're talking about government. We're talking about Federal Reserve. We're talking about a lot of other stuff. There's many reasons why. Like Andy Schectman says, price is the greatest tool of misdirection. And the banks manipulate the price, which that's not a conspiracy, that's not a myth. JP Morgan paid a $900 million fine, $920 million to be exact. 3 of their employees got sent to prison. The one was Michael Nowak, right, where's his name? Michael Nowak was one. Yeah, there we go. Greg Smith and Christopher Jordan. They got sent to prison. The third one for racketeering. A lot of people don't know about the third one. They just know about the first 2. Yeah, prison, not jail, prison. Prison, and almost $1 billion fine. They got caught red-handed manipulating the price of silver. This is not a conspiracy. They are rigging silver's price. Why? Well, if it's cheap, you could buy lots of it. And why do you think all the biggest, most successful banks and most powerful, successful investors and billionaires all are buying boatloads of silver and gold if it wasn't worth anything? Why would, in this year alone, gold, the central banks bought the most gold ever this year or last year. The most ever. And then you have India buying hundreds of millions of ounces. I mean, why are they doing this if it's not worth anything? It's like they know something that they don't want anyone else to know. And if you don't want someone to know something, then you suppress the price because you guarantee if silver was skyrocketing, everyone would be buying it. But if the price is low, nobody touches it except for people that understand its value. So anyways, and this is what they mentioned, right? Numbers less than 1%. This would indicate an emergency situation, and they would address this urgency. It's their job. And if they were serious people, they would have launched public information campaigns. The World Gold Council launched a gold journey with the ELBA and Gold We Trust. Silver Institute has delivered a big goose egg. Zero, zilch, zip, nada. See for yourself. Go to their website and look in the footer. There is nothing. Or go to their contact page. Nothing. They don't have a YouTube channel. So even if they spend time brainstorming their mission statement and distilling their elevator story with this video, text, or graphics, they need to find a viable method for pushing out their promotions. Also, they have no promotions. In just 2 days, we released 2 concepts. I could do 1 per day. It just takes focus. Like Mark Twain said, the art of writing is applying the seat of the pants to the seat of the chair. I like that. They don't use any popular social media apps. How are they engaging with people? I mean, yeah, like I get it, but I feel like it's not as strong of a case, or just saying that doesn't mean much. I mean, the point is there and the point is correct, but using this piece of evidence implying that I feel like they could have gone a much better way. For example, the LBMA conference with the Silver Institute having Phillips Baker on from Hecla Mining that happened 2 weeks ago. Like me on the spot, just making this video on the spot right now, just thought of that. That was held by the Silver Institute. It's a press conference. I watched it live on my channel. They went into some stuff that there was an elephant in the room that needed to be addressed about silver shortage and the numbers, but still, he's bringing up another point that goes towards the narrative, so I get it. But, anyways, shout out to this guy, though, for sticking his neck out there and talking about this, because it's true. But anyways, amplifying positive buzz, silver squeeze can lead to a true price discovery. Effective PR attracts media attention and generates organic conversation, spreading the word about your brand organically. We generated an organic silver squeeze movement. The Silver Institute never once engaged in any meaningful or substantive manner. And is that intentional, lazy, stupid, incompetent? You decide. Counters negative press. PR strategies proactively address adverse claims and misinformation, protecting the industry and building resilience. In Silver's case, a good PR campaign could have helped more people chase sound money instruments versus overvalued zombie corporations, or protected the public whose assets were at risk. Inflation interest, devalued dollar destroys workers' savings daily. I mean, I get it. It's what I do on this channel. Advocates for industry goals. PR campaigns can champion industry-wide initiatives and influence public policy, shaping a future that benefits everyone. That was beautifully written. But silver used to be B2B, or discussed ways to prop up silver mining with investment, finding new investment classes like women, AMC, GameStop, AIDS, crypto into public employee retirement accounts, whatever, yada, yada, yada. The fact that silver miners combined have a market cap of $17 billion shows that the Silver Institute needs to do better in helping out the silver industry. If you look at their sponsor page, most are silver miners. Some of these will ask basic questions. 5. Drives market share and growth. Positive silver industry image, solid public trust, customer loyalty, ultimately increased sales and market dominance. They failed here too. Talk to any bullion dealer or miner, and they will tell you the precious metal sentiment is close to rock bottom. So what do you think about that? What do you think? I mean, I agree with the point. And I feel like there's more to the point that he actually could have, he could have dove into a little more there, because it stems deeper than the Silver Institute. But there is a point there that a lot of people that I feel don't think about is, why are there only a select few that really do talk about silver, that invest into silver? For example, another example from a more of a relatable perspective, from like you and I, when Elon Musk was showing or mentioning his assets and how he's taking things away from the dollar, he talked about gold, he talked about Bitcoin, obviously Dogecoin. People did not want him to mention silver, because if he did, it would have shot the price up. And true silver stackers don't want that to happen. If you're in this for a get-rich-quick scheme, of course, but they didn't want that to happen. What makes that any different for someone else, just on a bigger scale, or a bank or an institute? Especially since it's so scarce and it's so needed. I mean, it's needed to extents that we can't even possibly imagine, especially when you incorporate military and how we're about to enter World War III to some extent. Now it starts to make sense. So this is another article. This is very interesting. This really does show silver's potential in rising. I wanted to share the controversy first and then kind of dive into some of the meat and potatoes of what silver's doing, because if you stuck around this far, then you are a true silver stacker wanting to soak up every piece of information, and I respect that. A lot of people probably clicked off the video within 2 minutes thinking they don't need to know anything, they know it all, closed-minded. So in a recent development, and by the way, if you are still listening, thank you. Please like the video, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. I appreciate you. So in a recent development sent ripples through the global financial markets, the lease rates for silver have experienced spikes reminiscent of those seen before at historic price surges. These lease rates, essentially the premiums charged for borrowing silver, have reached peaks unseen since the significant market bottom in 2008. What happened in 2008? you guys probably remember, very similar to 2020. Credit financial crisis, recession, depression, $1 billion stimulus. 3 years later, $50 silver. 2020, recession slash depression, credit financial crisis, $1 trillion stimulus, global pandemic, war. I mean, there's a lot more, but so yeah, what they're saying that they haven't seen this since 2008, which led to $50 silver. Less than $100 billion worth of silver. The current global value of above ground silver stocks, and this is another controversial rabbit hole showing corruptness that we're about to dive into. The silver rabbit hole is so deep, by the way. Like, you can lose your mind following all these different paths of why people, I mean, silver is it has to be the most controversial metal out there. It's insane. But anyways, the above ground silver stocks estimated to be less than $100 billion. To put this in perspective, the value of these stocks is dwarfed by the valuation of major tech companies in the U.S. equity market large. The implication here is that even a minor shift of capital from equities to silver could trigger a substantial rise in the price of silver. Then we mirror image of past patterns. Situation bears a striking resemblance to the patterns observed 2016, 2019, and 2022. These were periods that were followed by significant price increases for silver. In light of this, various silver bullion ETFs have been recommended for investment, with favorites including yada yada yada. But then this is also the last point, which is the green energy factor. Adding to the potential for a surge in silver prices is the growing demand for silver in green energy sectors, particularly in the production of solar panels. This demand is expected to lend support to the market, could potentially lead to deficits in supply. There already is huge deficits in supply, by the way, but historically, silver has been underpriced relative to U.S. money supply growth and national debt. This suggests in the long term the value of silver should be much higher. Given the recent spike in lease rates and the patterns observed in the past, market experts anticipate another price advance for silver. It is predicted to reach or even surpass $30 per ounce in the near term, with an even higher price possible under certain economic and geopolitical circumstances. And by the way, those circumstances are playing out exactly as would for those prices to break record highs. Not saying it will, but it definitely has potential, and that potential is, I think, greater than ever right now. You could even look at this chart right here, going into very deep detail, a very, very big analysis, talking about a bigger picture target, $70, 2025, 2026. That is exactly when I say silver will, quote unquote, explode. That is exactly. Anytime, if you've been watching me for years, I've been saying this years ago, I said, when I think silver will, quote unquote, explode, skyrocket, will be by the year 2025, 2026. I feel like we will be deep enough into the silver shortage by then. We'll be deep enough into the Green New Deal. I feel like geopolitical events and the dollar will be played out far enough that it will be inevitable for silver's true value to shine by then. So it's funny that the charts, which is taking out any type of speculation, it's going off strictly data and numbers, also shows the same thing. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember that I post daily, so if you guys enjoy silver videos, if you guys enjoy news, true news without being censored, then make sure you subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com. If you guys want to purchase any silver, gold, we got deals right now. I will hook you guys up. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.